Thank you for joining us on today's show on natural healing. We have a very special guest, Dr. Frank Shallenberger, and we're going to talk about the concept of oxidative medicine. That's new to most of you, but a very, very interesting subject, very, very important in the field of preventative and complementary medicine. Dr. Frank Shallenberger has been practicing for over 25 years. He graduated from the University of Maryland School of Medicine and received postgraduate training at Mount Zion Hospital in San Francisco. He's a member of the American College for the Advancement of Medicine, the American Preventive Medical Association, and the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. Dr. Shallenberger, thank you for coming today.
It's a pleasure to be here, Mark. Glad to be here.
Excellent. So maybe tell the viewers, what does oxidative medicine mean? Obviously it involves oxygen, but give us a general overview of what that means.
Well, I think if you start to think, well, what's the most critical nutrient you take in your body? What's the one nutrient you can't do without for 2 or 3 minutes? You have to say that's oxygen.
Right.
And so we know that it's critical, but in medical school, they always focused on teaching us that the main idea was, are you getting enough oxygen into your system? If you have good lungs and you can breathe, if you have a halfway decent heart and a good circulation, you're getting enough oxygen in. And that presumably was the whole story. Well, it turns out it's not the whole story.
That's just the beginning of the story.
That's the bare part of the story. Because the real action is, what are you going to do with that oxygen?
Right.
Because oxygen is an interesting molecule, Mark. It only does one thing in the human body for all extents and purposes. You know, most other nutrients, they have a multiplicity of things that they do. Oxygen only does one thing, and that is that the human body uses oxygen and extracts the energy from the oxygen. There's a process in our cells that is able to extract energy from oxygen and then harness it and utilize it. That's all that oxygen is going to do. So you can take in all the oxygen you want, but if you're not extracting it efficiently to produce energy, you've got a problem. You might as well be holding your breath, because that's the only reason it's there in the first place. Now that process of extracting energy from oxygen, the term we use is oxidation. It's not the same as just taking oxygen in. The process refers to the ability to be able to extract from that oxygen that energy that's in the oxygen and then to go out and harness it and utilize it.
Well, would a crude analogy be like a person who's eating foods or taking nutrients, they're getting them into the mouth, into the digestive system, but then they can't actually absorb it into their bloodstream.
They can't assimilate it. They can't use it. It's there, but they can't use it. And that's what we become like. As we get older, for a variety of reasons, we could talk a little bit about why that is, but they're very common things like lifestyle, diet, hormone balances, toxicity, things that people have all heard about. For these reasons, over time, we start to lose our ability to extract the energy from oxygen efficiently, or we start losing our ability to perform oxidation efficiently, and that forms the very main factor, the main reason why we become old and feeble as we get older, why we become more vulnerable to disease. That's the central factor.
So getting into the cell itself, I think most people have heard the term of mitochondria, basically this factory in our cells which produces energy. So take us through just the basics of that, where you of course need to get the oxygen into the cells and produce the energy in each cell, which all the cellular function is based off, all the function of the body, whether it be brain cells, your liver, all your organs, everything.
There's nothing your cell can do that doesn't require energy to do it.
Right.
And if you're extracting energy from oxygen very efficiently, you're going to do everything about efficiently as your genetics can possibly let you do it. And if you're only extracting energy with, say, a 50% efficiency rating, which we see all the time, by the way, if you're only doing that with a 50% efficiency rating, you're getting 50% of the energy you need.
Now, what are some of the common reasons? You mentioned them briefly. Let's go through them a little bit more in depth. What interferes with this process of utilizing oxygen, which means you're not going to produce energy effectively? You'll be set up for more chronic disease, because chronic disease, really at the root of it, is problems within the cell itself, right?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think I want the audience to appreciate the genetics is involved in this. You know, some of us are just born with sort of bomb-proof energy efficiency genetics. You know, these would be your super athletes and the people you remember in high school and college that could always do better than you no matter what you did. Okay, so, but leaving aside that issue of genetics, no matter what your genetic potential is, you can influence it dramatically by these things. by the stress, the way your body handles stress, the amount of stress in your life. And in that context would be lifestyle issues like, you know, eating poorly, drinking too much coffee, not getting enough sleep, those kinds of stressful things. Hormones play an incredibly important role as we get older. Because as you probably know, as you get older, your body doesn't make as much hormones. It's a vicious cycle. It doesn't make as much hormones. The body needs these hormones to process the oxygen. It can't process the oxygen. It can't make the energy that it needs to make the hormones, and there's problems. A third thing is the longer we're on the planet, the more toxic we become.
Yep.
You know, become our own little toxic waste dump. And so toxins can definitely, especially the heavy metals like lead and mercury and such, can definitely interfere with this mitochondrial process by which we can extract the energy from oxygen.